Council. We have only 4 members present, so we will not be able to vote on anything, but I'm sure everyone has an opinion as to the proceedings, so please speak up. Nobody from the public to speak up, so we can first approve the minutes from the October 16 meeting. Is everyone copacetic with those minutes? Okay. All right. So everyone approve, raise their hand. Okay, unanimous. Announcements. Thursday, December 5th, as part of the EAC lecture series, Michael Wielbacher is returning to speak about Wild Philly, the extraordinary nature of our backyard. This is December 5th at 6 p.m. in this room, Radnor Shire room in the Township building. I think I'm looking forward to that as something to segue into the Christmas and Thanksgiving season. Also, I got notice that the Goodwill Keystone area collection centers do accept old electronic items. They will accept computers and monitors, video players, gaming systems, audio, stereos, radios, MP3 players, telephones, cell phones, cameras, televisions, toasters, vacuums, electronic cables and wiring, but no large kitchen white appliances like refrigerators, dishwashers, or washer dryers. Oh, we do have a member from the public. Would you like to speak? Or do you want to wait? Okay, all right. I also just learned that the Aronimink Golf Club is planning to remove 400 trees in the Darby Creek headwaters in preparation for a PGA tournament in 2026. This was, notice was sent to me by Cindy Mihallo, Vice Chair of the Newtown Township EAC. So these 400 trees would be clear cut on about 9 acres of land, and the bare slopes would be regraded to make room for 2 large temporary gravel parking lots. This is for the PGA tournament. The plan would be then to plant new trees on the site after the tournament. So there are 2 opportunities to learn and comment about this proposal. The first is the Newtown Township EAC meeting at 5 p.m. Thursday, November 19th, which unfortunately just passed.
I actually think it's tomorrow. I think they got the date wrong because she said Thursday, so I think maybe she means it's tomorrow.
Okay, November 21st, okay.
I think, unless it
All
was
right.
yesterday.
So I just recommend anyone going to the Newtown Township website to see their calendar. The second opportunity is the Township Planning Commission meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. Tuesday, November 26th. And again, this is Newtown Township. So the plans for the clear cutting and parking lot will be discussed at that meeting in probably more detail than you could learn at the EAC meeting. You could also communicate to the EAC Chair, Sheila O'Sullivan-Feeney, who is, again, with the Newtown Township EAC. Okay. Any further announcements or comments? All right. Ongoing business, municipal,
I mean, I just, sounds like we're somewhat challenged with our, dealing with our own
Right.
issues that are, is it sort of, you know, are we creeping out of our wheel zone by getting involved in other? I mean, I understand the importance of that, and I think it's horrible that they're taking down all those trees,
right.
but I'm concerned that we're gonna get fragmented if we're pulled in too many different directions.
No, I agree with you. And it being, well, I don't know when this meeting will be available online for those who see the video of it, but it may not be in time for the November 26th Planning Commission meeting. So I agree. The thing is at the very least to make us and the public aware that such development is ongoing in our area and neighboring townships, just so that people aren't surprised when they see at that golf course a major cutting and clearing.
Could we send a letter of support or something on behalf of the Radnor EAC? You know, we support your efforts.
Yes, I could say something to that effect. But again, as you said, to what degree are we going to volunteer our services?
I just think we're already challenged with doing
Right.
our own
Good point.
issues.
Also, I'm not sure what their EAC who reached out to us, you know, I don't know that we know for sure what their action is. Like, are they opposing it outright? Are they requesting alternatives? Because I asked if there were any alternatives offered, and she said that she didn't have any information on that, so.
Okay.
I agree. I think maybe we should, I don't know, if we want to get involved at all, I think that would be the first step, is what is their EAC recommending, and do they need our support, given that Darby Creek, you know, eliminating 400 trees even temporarily from
Right.
the Darby Creek watershed will impact our township and our water resources. And, you know, if it would be helpful for whatever they're requesting for us to weigh in,
Yep.
then we can.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, unless we have unless one of us or all of us feel very strongly, I don't think we should make any decision until we know what their EAC is planning to do. As of right now, I think they just gave us a heads up that they're going to be discussing it and that they're concerned. It sounds like that they're going to be planning to cut 395 trees to, you know, make temporary parking lots that they're going to replant trees after the PGA Tour.
At least Parks and Tammy Cohen at Parks and Rec, perhaps, just confirm she's aware of this, and to confirm that there could be potential impact on Darby Creek. And I assume it does flow through our township, so it should be brought to their attention. Let me alert.
And their EAC meets the second Monday of each month. So that's would have come and gone.
Right.
This is Newtown Township, correct?
Yes, Newtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, though they're saying there's one that tomorrow, which is maybe a special meeting. But at the very least, I'll notify Tammy and to confirm that Darby Creek does flow through part of our township.
According to the Cindy who reached out to us, Aronimink is located in the Darby Creek watershed and specifically immediately adjacent to the Darby Creek headwaters. As you may know, the headwaters are the most sensitive part of a watershed and warrant the greatest degree of protection. Stormwater runoff from Maronamink flows into Darby Creek in Radnor Township. The highly
Okay.
regarded Stroud Water Research Facility has well documented the importance of protecting headwaters. Information is also available from We Conserve PA. So I think it certainly would affect Darby Creek in our township.
Okay. All right. I think this is a township, I think the whole township should be aware of this, and particularly Parks and Rec. And go from there. I'm sure this is not, these two meetings are not the end of it, and we certainly should stay tuned to what's happening.
Yeah, and I think it would be worth an email to Cindy just asking if they've requested an evaluation of alternative sites. You know, are there other parking
Could I ask
lots
you to do that, Lisa?
Yeah, I can do that. You know, to see how necessary this is, because it seems,
Mhm.
seems like at the very least, they should make sure that it's the best option.
Well, certainly Darby Creek runs through Skunk Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Enough said, then. It's central to our township. Skunk Hollow.
Mhm.
Hi, good evening. Laura Luker from the Radnor Conservancy in Birdtown. And that's a big deal. And I suspect you're going to also have people like Willistown Conservation Trust, who has a very large watershed program. They just did we planted 400 trees in the riparian in the HOA, which is it's a run that feeds into Darby. So there's a lot of efforts, and the reason why there's a lot of efforts in trying to preserve the waters of the Darby Creek is because they have found the freshwater mussel there.
Oh.
And it was kind of on the very rarity, but it's now been found, and they're all really excited about it. So also the DCVA, Darby Creek Valley Association, and the Crum Creek Association, all those guys are going to be so hot on this. And I do think what you guys are thinking of doing is get more intel, but I would really find out if a letter from the Radnor EAC, I'm sure the Conservancy will do something as well. We just it's not a lot of work-ish, but it needs to be pointed out that we're aware and we don't approve, and
Well,
what other options.
A joint letter,
Sure, absolutely.
and, okay. So,
I think the thing to do is start to go back to Sheila and ask her what, I mean, I believe me, once I tell Amber this, she's going to be all over it. And she'll probably, you know, we have lots of EAC members that we know through Birdtown, and so we'll be talking to them. But I think we should all keep our together on our communication, so we're all on the same page. But I would talk to Sheila and just say, who have you reached out to
Yeah.
in Radnor? What can we do?
yes.
Going to those meetings are always great, because it just means they want to have heads in the room, bodies in the room, but it's a kind of short notice for tomorrow.
Right.
The planning
so-
will be more important.
Laura, did you get an email from Cindy as well?
No. This is
Oh.
the first I've heard of it, so
Okay,
this
so-
is,
All right.
May I ask you again, it's how many trees?
400.
400, and in what period of time?
It's a clear cut.
No, I mean,
It's-
does that mean
Well-
they just come in one day?
It's
Well, it'll take them probably 4 days.
395 Oh, sorry.
It'll take them 4 days to do it. But then they grade.
Right, and regrade the bare slopes and make a gravel parking lot.
And-
So,
But does it say when they're going to do this?
well, they're going to do it in time for the 2026
Right, okay.
PGA tournament, which I presume is summer.
Yeah,
So-
it would be, usually it's July.
So it says the construction is proposed to occur in 2025 in preparation for Aronimink to host the 2026 PGA Tour. It's intended to be temporary and removed at the end of the 3-day tournament. This broadcast center where they would be built using this area for. Aronimink proposed to restore the area by replanting trees after the 3-day tournament has concluded, which would require removing the gravel and parking lots and revegetating those areas with small caliper replacement canopy trees.
And the EAC, Newtown Township does not have a shade tree. So a lot of that goes through their EAC. So there's just going to be lots of, size of material that if they pass this, small is not going to be great. But if they're going to tear this up afterwards,
Yeah.
I don't understand. I think also the EAC there might want to look into talking to Marion Golf Club, who has done their, did the, the US Open there 5 years ago, and they had to figure out parking too. And I have a feeling, I remember there was some controversy on this same level. So there might be precedent that has been created by that have been done before, and so now this country club kind of says, okay, well, they did that, then we could do that. But it'd be
Right.
kind of interesting to see what they did.
Laura, the fact that Radnor Conservancy didn't get Cindy's email.
I don't know that for a fact.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know if Amber, I haven't talked to her today, so I don't know. She doesn't even know I'm here.
Yeah, getting the word out is key as a
Yes,
first
I
step.
agree.
And then mobilizing at least one or more letters
Yeah,
to the golf clubs and as well as to our township governments
right.
is essential.
Yep.
And so if I could get a list from you of those organizations
Sure.
you just mentioned,
Yeah.
the Darby Creek Valley Association, et cetera,
yeah,
and I could make sure with Sheila whether they've been notified or not.
that's great. I'll give you that.
Great.
Okay.
They could run a shuttle from Episcopal Academy and not
Yeah.
have to tear up those trees. Yeah, so they could do that.
As for getting the word out, I volunteer for the Darby Creek Valley Association, and
Right.
I could talk to the head of our, of the
And they could
Willistown
run the trees already.
Conservatory, lady. Her name's Lauren McGrath. I have her email, and I also
So
actually
you-
it's perfect, but I also work at Marion Golf Club, and I could talk to my managers about what they did.
That's great, Hayden.
So, yeah.
I didn't catch your first action item.
I know the head of the Darby Creek Valley Association, and
Oh.
I could send her an email.
Okay. Sure. Let her know that we are mobilizing various environmental groups in this area to at least prepare a letter to the the relevant parties. Thank you.
And I did just look at, according to the email that we received, she did get the date, the number wrong, but she sent a link to the agenda, and it does look like it is tomorrow, the 21st. Their
Okay.
EAC, the Newtown EAC meeting where they're going to be discussing this.
Looks like a special meeting.
So I don't know if, and I'm unable to be there tomorrow night. I don't know if one of us or maybe someone else we could
I
speak to
can't.
would be able to, no, all right, well, if none of us can be there, maybe we, at least I'm planning, I can reach out to her today and let her know that we're not able to be there, but we do have concerns and that we're
Yes.
interested in hearing whether there were any alternatives proposed or whether there could be any alternatives
Yes,
considered,
good.
such as shuttles or things that would be less
Good.
damaging to the local streams.
And could you also
And I can copy
ask,
you on that.
also ask who she has notified, what organizations?
Okay,
And we'll compare that with Laura's list. Be comprehensive. Okay, well, that's a very meaningful topic, unfortunately. Ongoing business, municipal energy conservation and electrification. There's a lot of good news coming here that I received an email from Melissa just yesterday regarding the benchmarking program that the township is proposing, whereby the energy consumption of buildings above a certain square footage, I think above 10,000 square footage, would be compared to a standard to see if they are inefficient in heating, particularly, and lighting. And if so, then recommendations would be for upgrading their HVAC systems and lighting systems. So the township is planning to meet with DVRPC, and then after that, we'll be meeting with solicitors and other interested parties. The stakeholders would be scheduled at a later date. And I asked Melissa if the members of the EAC and the Green Team could be invited to those meetings as well. So we'll see. Municipal electric vehicles and EV charging stations. Movement is occurring in tapping into the existing transformer to set up the EV charging station here at the municipal building to power our police special service vehicles, the F-150 Lightnings. And this actual progress in getting the transformer hooked up will be voted on Monday at the BOC meeting, and I assume it will go forward because you got EVs to power. Municipal building system upgrades. There are grants or low interest or zero interest loans that the township has been awarded for roof replacement and solar panel installation on our municipal buildings, particularly our township building. So this is very good news. It would be a very shining example of the efficiency and clean energy of solar electricity. LED street installations, the remaining are several HOAs or I guess apartment or condo associations that are needing upgrading of their lights, and that is progressing. PICO rebates also will be applied for the lighting that's already been installed. Let's see. Okay. Mulchless native perennial plantings. Sven updated us last meeting about planting perennial native plants at the parking lot on South Wayne Avenue next to the post office. And there was a problem with the soil being hard clay. And he's not optimistic the plants will survive there. So he recommended that we give away plants at our spring native plant giveaway, plugs of perennials at our spring giveaway function. And propose that we request money from the township to purchase perennial plants on the order of $4,000. Unfortunately, we have locked in the budget for the EAC for 2025, so it could not come from our EAC budget to purchase these plants, as many as 2,000 plants. So I'm open to ideas from the council, from you, Kathy.
The budget will be voted on Monday.
Right. It would, I'm not up to sending a curveball and asking for $4,000.
We might be. They're already like, we should cut stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I'll send an email to Bill White and copy in Maggie and Maura.
Well,
Might be a
thank
little
you.
late in the day, but
Well,
all they can say is no.
they're $2 a plant, so even $1,000 is 500 plants.
And this is to give to
This would be
residents to plant themselves.
Right, the residents. Because we already give out potted plants, and these are plugs that are, I guess, in a sleeve, ready to be put in the ground.
So what did it cost this year?
It was about $500 to $600. We're going to talk about that further down, but,
So we're talking two separate things?
well, two different sets of plants. Traditionally, we've gotten potted plants
Right.
that are native from Moon Nursery. I forget the name of it. We'll talk about it under new business. But he's proposing that we, through him, purchase up to 2,000 perennial plugs, which would be basically the same thing. These would be wildflowers, whereas I think the others could be bushes as well as flowers.
Since, at least my impression is a good bit of the township is that clay, that it doesn't perk,
Yeah,
will they grow anyway? I mean, even if they're.
right. Well, the hope is residents would have a garden and have soil that's been conditioned and enriched with topsoil and peat moss, et cetera. That's the assumption we've had when we hand out the 2 plants per resident in the past.
Okay.
So
I mean, we could also, if we don't get the additional funding, we could just, if it's $2 per plug, we could just have them pay for them. The question would just be having it available. Like, maybe we could have residents reserve.
Right, yeah.
You can reserve your native plant for an extra $4. You can get 2 perennial plugs for wildflowers to plant, but you have to pay, $4 for that,
okay.
right? Like that.
So clearly not a gardener. Is that 2 plants, like you'd put, is that what it is? So if you get a plug, that's a single plant?
I think
Yes,
so,
that's
yeah.
a single plant. And if you plant perennial garden, maybe Laura, you could weigh in on this. But you need many plugs to have a beautiful spread.
So it sounds like, I mean, what I think we need to clarify here is you were saying there's 2 programs then you're thinking of doing. And one would be your plant giveaway, correct?
Yes.
And that plant giveaway, you get that material from whom?
Well, in the past, we've gotten.
From New Moon.
New Moon
Yeah,
Nursery.
but who's bought it and who's picked it up and who's,
Well, last
'Cause-
year, it was Margie Reinhardt.
Right,
Who
and-
purchased.
did those plants, because a lot of times those come in plugs and then we have to repot them. Did she do that?
Yes, we did that.
Okay.
Yes.
So, if you do the other program, you're just going to get the flats of plugs and try to
Right,
sell those or give those away.
right.
All right. I think, honestly, stick with one program. Do
Stick
it-
with one.
Stick with one program and do it well.
Right.
I want to also go back to the mulchless planting that happened. I was there. I actually planted with those guys and the Altus volunteers. It was hard to plant. But I think actually going to be the biggest problem is that I don't know how well they've been watered. And that I don't have any knowledge about, so I don't know. That was something that I think Sven was working with the township. And if they have not been watered, they're dead.
Right.
'Cause there's been no rain. So,
Were they planted deep enough? I've heard that they weren't. I'm not saying that's accurate, but I've heard that they weren't planted deep enough.
no, I think they were.
They were?
I'm probably sure there's some that weren't. There are a lot, and we have volunteers, and anytime you have a volunteer, even though they were really good volunteers, they're not gardeners. I mean, that's the one thing that when you do a civic project, you're always, like, even planting trees, we lose a lot of them because they're not really well planted. I hope it takes. It would look really pretty if it was there. And yes, you need more than 1 or 2. You need usually about 5 in a cluster to make any kind of effect. So,
That's helpful. So it sounds like we should stick with our native plant giveaway that that's already funded with the current budget, right? 'Cause
Yes,
that
it
was
is.
carried over.
Yes.
and
it
that's
is.
it.
And then if we want to continue to work on this perennial program, it sounds like maybe what would be a better idea is to identify, which I know is a lot of what Sven is doing, and I apologize, I was traveling for work, so I missed last month's meeting where he discussed this, but it sounds like maybe we need to identify an area where there is
Better soil.
better soil, and probably plant in the spring and not in the fall in a year where we are in a
Right.
current drought. You know, I think it's not entirely probably
Sure.
any one person's fault. You know, we're just, it's a drought right now, so anything that's planted is, you know, in danger unless it's
Yeah.
watered constantly.
And I think Sven agreed that you know,
Yeah, and
this probably wasn't the best, because he said even the soil was so dry and trying to.
yeah. I mean, if it was a landscape company doing this, who do, that, they'd actually dig up that whole thing and re-fortify the soil. I mean, that's the protocol, but anyway.
Yes, this whole discussion of plantings in our township on municipal property is come to fore in another area, and that is the rain garden at Clem McCroney Park.
Which one?
Well, the
there's
one at
3.
the entrance, the big one.
Okay.
I haven't been there, but that's how it's described.
Yeah, there's
It's been
3 of 'em.
basically torn up and resodded with grass. And the reason is it was put in 10 years ago by the Garrett Hill residents. And it has not been maintained. And it wasn't clear, I guess, or maybe it was clear in the beginning who was responsible, but the bottom line is it hadn't been maintained, and it was filling with silt and weeds, and it wasn't functioning as a way to absorb runoff. So this is a cautionary tale about projects that the township initiates of this nature, whether it's perennial plants or rain gardens, that there has to be identify who is responsible for maintaining them, and somehow there be a insurance that it is maintained.
Absolutely. I think when this whole project came up to you guys to do that, I had come up as well and told you how many projects I've done that have gone afray because time moves on. I either got sick or something
Yes.
else happened, and it only ends up being me.
Yes.
And it's really hard. We have passion. We all have things we want to see happen. And if we don't get complete buy-in from the township, then it's not really going to be sustainable because we leave, we
Right.
get hurt, we get burned out. And that's why, I mean, we got a fair amount of support from the township. I was told for watering, so I hope that was the case with that. But yes, you're absolutely right. Whenever we do
Yeah.
a civic project, whether it's the Boy Scouts, whether it's the Radnor Conservancy, whether it's the EAC, it's
Sustainability of the
yeah.
sustainability.
I mean, and this goes into a whole nother thing, which is not, but we'll probably be bringing up in the new year with the EAC. But, you know, we have to start making our township more accountable for doing kind of the projects that we would like to see done.
Right. Well, this has to be established.
With our volunteer helping,
Right.
you know?
And I understand how volunteers were the wardens of the rain gardens, because there was a lot of enthusiasm
Yeah.
and direction at that time. But I guess you have to do the hard work of convincing Parks and Rec to be the eventual
Yeah, you really do.
maintainer
It's
of
very
these
hard.
properties, and it's very hard given their budget and time.
Well,
So-
may I suggest that when you plan a
Project?
project, that you come up with a reasonable estimate of the man-hours it takes to
Yeah.
maintain it,
Yeah,
and then say to the township, it's going to take, say, 10 man-hours a month.
yeah,
So they'll figure that's going to cost how much. And you have to think about, okay, is the township, or the township also has to think about, do we want to put that much money into a project?
right.
As opposed to, we're going to plant the plants and then you have at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are creative ways to
There are totally creative ways of
have
doing
it
it.
done,
Yep,
but you have to really realistically think through what the man-hours are to really
Right.
maintain it.
right.
I think
Okay.
that's a great idea. It sounds like the original email that we got, I think, was a resident who
Yes.
was unhappy that one of the rain gardens was removed. I think he felt like surprised, and I think
Right.
that it was a communication issue. And I wonder if, along with that, that could have, if there was a sign and maybe something that went out in the township newsletter that said, we're planning to remove this rain garden because we don't have enough hands to maintain it. Can someone volunteer 10 hours per month or whatever is needed? Maybe someone like him would have seen it and been able to, and also as the other side of that, Bill White did say that the township is fine with putting that back in, that rain garden, or barrel, whatever,
Rain garden.
It
Rain
is
garden.
their property. It
as
is-
long as, if that's what the township wants, if that's
Yeah.
what the people want. So I think it partly making sure that it's communicated. And I think it would be very cool, and I don't know if they do anything like this, but if the township staff had kind of an ongoing list of projects like this, like we spend 10 hours, and so then someone who says, I'm looking for, I'm thinking students would be great for this, like, I'm looking for a 10-hour volunteer
Yep.
project, and then they kind of had a list ready of like, well, here are the
Yep.
things that we do every month that it would be really great if we could have a volunteer take care of, or a group of, whatever. I think that,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways we could creatively get that.
And we do that. The Conservancy does work with Ricky in trying to find out where there are projects. Because we get phone calls all the time for people saying, we've got a company and we have workers, we need a work day type of thing. It's work for Ricky. It's harder for him to sometimes get this identification and start to create a volunteer program. And it's something that I think we'll definitely try to do as well coming up. There's so much opportunity for that and so much good for that. My curiosity, though, is those stormwater retentions, there's like 3 of them. They were put, or 4.
There were 4.
Because there was one way on the side, which was done by the Boy Scouts way, way, way back when. That's not what we're talking about.
No, it's, I
So
understand,
it's
it's
the
right
ones that
there
were
at
put
the entrance.
in originally when the new Clemacone Park was refurbished.
Which entrance do you mean there, Dan? Do you mean the one?
I don't know.
Right off of Conestoga?
I'm just
or the
reading
one-
off emails.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I mean,
I
there's at
don't,
least 2 entrances that I can think of, right, for Clemacrone. There might be one in the back, which would make 3 entrances, so I don't really know.
there's only 2. Then it would be for the side entrance, not the parking lot
We're coming out
entrance.
of the neighborhood.
Correct, I think so. Well, my concern is if those were supposed to be put there for a stormwater reasoning, why are they being filled up? So that's the question to ask Tammy.
Bill White and Ricky.
That's to ask Tammy and Bill and those guys,
yeah.
and
Now-
Ricky.
I did communicate with Tammy about this and volunteer our services. I do that with you guys a lot. And she replied on November 16, saying she will contact the Garrett Hill residents and the EAC about the 3 remaining rain gardens at Clem-Macron Park. And she also will be contacting Radnor
I'm sure.
Conservancy at the 3 gardens here at the Township building.
Okay.
So, and I did volunteer that the Radnor AC will assist you, Tammy, in getting other volunteers to maintain these gardens long-term.
So there's one thing that I think is kind of, we need to kind of clarify, because the projects that a civic person like myself or Sven or whatever come and we do a project, and then 10 years later it's debunked.
Right.
It's on township land. Okay, but if the township builds this stormwater in their design of their park, and that's part of the bond, that's part of our tax money, was there any, and the question is, was there any writing that these parks will be maintained by the neighbors or by an organization, our EAC? I'm just trying to, not to say that we can't help, and we all will probably help, but moving forward, with lots more parks in the future being planned, are we going to be doing that too down the
Right.
road? So it's something to, I mean, these are conversations we'll all have with everybody, and this all comes down to maintenance. I cannot say the word
Right.
enough. And who's responsible. So I'm going to get off.
Right. This is a multifaceted issue that goes, it's going to involve a lot of established groups, both resident and government groups in our community. And I think the issue is obvious. It's maintenance of existing and future sustainable landscaping. If we continue installing these landscaping, that we're going to have to have a plan ahead of time that covers long-term maintenance. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't on the agenda because it was a late development. So let's just be in touch with each other about developments here. Okay. Public education, unfortunately, Eugenia isn't here. She's doing a lot to publish various articles that we have. Just to remind again that we do have Michael Wielbacher on the 5th of December in this building at 6 p.m. talking about our extraordinary backyard flora and fauna. We do have a list of tentative 2025 lectures, which I have volunteered to schedule with the speakers once the township calendar is released on Monday, November 25th. I'm hearing endorsement of actually scheduling at 7 p.m. after our EAC meetings as a first offer to the speaker. If they can't make that, then I would schedule, you prefer a 6 p.m. speaker meeting, or 7?
I don't know,
Don't know.
probably 6 if there's a different option, if
Right.
7 didn't work, but.
Right, okay.
You know, 6:30. Yeah. I mean, we could try it and see.
Yep.
Well, that, Lisa, that last meeting, what time was that one? Was that 7? You know,
No,
the
that
one-
was at 6, the last lecture, right?
The one with
Yeah.
the,
With the trash,
Yes.
Recycle Republic, I think that was at 6.
I was thinking it was later, and that was why we didn't get as many people. What was the date of that?
Yeah,
That was the 24th October. I will introduce Michael on December 5th, by the way. Okay. The Radnor News Community Newsletter, I assume that's the title. Eugenia has submitted our article, An Introduction to Radnor Township EAC, for publishing in the winter issue. Also, a suggested spring article for the Radnor newsletter would be How to Recycle in Radnor, based on the talk given by Charles Noble of Republic Services. There was a lot of guidance from the notes taken by Frank Perez of Shade Tree that I was not aware of. So I think it would be a very useful article to publish in the newsletter. And lastly, Eugenia has a connection at Suburban Life, and she will have published this winter Diana Pope's English Ivy, Danger to Trees in the Suburban Life magazine. So that's quite an accomplishment, getting us in the glossy print. The Eco-Friendly Yard Program, there were some action items from Eugenia to advertise the Eco-Friendly Yard Program in the Radnor Patch and possibly the Suburban Life magazine. I don't know if she's succeeded in getting that done. Hayden, you were action to advertise the Eco-Friendly Yard Program at your high school. in the newspaper?
Yeah, I talked to the head of the newspaper, and he said we could do it, but I just didn't have the like the qualifications.
The graphics.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I didn't CC you on the graphics? Ah,
So-
okay. I sent out the graphics after
Oh.
our meeting. Okay, I'm gonna forward it.
Yeah, I think I got the email where we were deciding on the final print of the eco-friendly yard signs, but I just need the graphics and I guess qualifications of could get those yard signs, and then I
Right.
can put it into the newspaper.
Okay. Okay. All right. Gas leaf blower phase out. I did attend the October 30 Gas Leaf Blower Coalition meeting organized by Ellie Kern of Penn Environment. And there were some interesting learnings. For example, University of Pennsylvania uses Brightview Company, which is an electric landscaping service. Also, there was a Toro equipment demonstration at Springfield, through the Springfield EAC, that was involved the Public Works Department. So those are key interests in connecting with Brightview, just to see how they handle the capacity of landscape with electric equipment. That's the big question. How long does a mower last during the course of a day? And getting the electric leaf blowers, for example, do they have the power to move leaves? In that connection, I did send on the 2nd of November to the Environmental Advisory Council a straw man proposal for us to proceed in this area to see if a phase out of at least gas leaf blowers is possible in this township. And from the learnings I got at the October 30 Penn Environment meeting, the first message was you need to first convince your Parks and Rec department to embrace this electric technology and demonstrate its utility in handling the demands of the parks in your township. So this could be certainly accomplished by another show and tell by Toro Equipment or Green Machine. There's a variety of companies out there. But there are some questions. The township has about 400 acres of parks and over 10 athletic fields. So that's a lot of acreage of grass to mow, plus to pick up leaves.
Of the playing fields, are you referring to the school district as opposed to the township, or do you mean the township?
I presume these are township municipal ball fields.
Okay.
You have the public school lots, which they maintain themselves, I presume. Let's see, the other question is, of course, electric leaf blowers may not match the power of gas leaf blowers, at least for now. And what I'm doing right now is using a lawnmower to mulch the leaves. Why be obsessed with picking up every single leaf? You can mulch it, it'll feed the grass. Okay, it doesn't look nice and green over the winter, but nobody's out there really to enjoy the view anyway. And this is what actually some townships are doing. The other option is to ban gas leaf blower use, except in the fall. And so it would not be allowed during the spring and summer. The other project would be to have a community survey and get the public's opinion on the switching from at least gas leaf blowers to electric equipment, as well as other lawn equipment. The Springfield Township has created a survey, and it's willing to share that survey with us if we wish to do that. This would be important for getting, hopefully, the public endorsement of the idea, by and large, when time comes for Parks and Rec and Public Works, as well as the residents, to lobby the Board of Commissioners to consider a township-wide or even a regional ban or phase out of gas lawn equipment. So this would be obviously a long-term plan. It has to be further fleshed out. A lot of feedback from the stakeholders, starting with our Parks and Rec and Public Works, would be needed. And so I'm asking my fellow committee members to communicate with me, not necessarily now, but by email, as to this idea. This is my straw man proposal. It's to generate thought, not controversy.
I think a survey is a good idea, because I know we've heard from several residents over the years about their gripes with gas leaf blowers, but I honestly just don't know whether that's, how controversial it would be. Maybe folks will generally be fine with it, and maybe there will be an uproar. I just don't know. I only know that the people that we've heard from are very unhappy about it, but that's like, I can count on one hand how often, how many people individually it probably was. So I think before we launch into the major, campaign of potentially banning them, it would probably be good to get some feedback, or either in a the survey could even have options. Would you support I don't know, this option, this option, this
Sure,
option,
sure.
and we can see what people's appetite is,
Right.
and how much pushback we'd get.
Well, I think Swarthmore learned that you
It
just
sounds like we
can't-
have to talk to the Parks and Rec
Well, sure,
first, because if
Right.
we don't get their buy-in,
right,
then, before we go out to the local community.
right.
So
And,
who is that that
right, and we would use, hopefully, the Parks and Rec equipment in their opinions as the poster child for this new technology, which,
You can tell me I'm wrong, isn't this really all Public Works? Public
Yeah.
Works does the work at the parks.
yes, but Parks and Rec, I don't know, oversees or manages that.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
So at least to say, I'm going to start being at Board of Commissioner meetings. Yep, yep. Let's see. Okay, I'm on my own. New business. An opportunity came up, I guess, from this meeting with Penn Environment and fellow EAC members about collaborating across EACs in education, public education. And Joy Baxter was nice enough to share her EAC from Haverford plans for the coming year in having workshops. And I shared this with the council members, this list of workshops, and it's quite far in reaching, dealing with polyfluorinated alkyl substances and their PFAS, the forever chemicals. Presentation by Solarized Delco on solar for your home, a rain garden workshop, demystifying EV ownership, heat pumps, backyard composting, and plant-based food for the climate. So these are certainly very relevant topics that we have addressed in our own way, but I think it's always good to keep presenting these causes and pieces of information from different perspectives all the time. At the same time, I promised Joy that I would provide links to her, to our upcoming EAC lecture series for 2025. So I've communicated with Ian and Melissa about a sharing of links between these two townships over the coming 6 months or so. So we would advertise theirs as well as they would advertise our presentations. Let's see. Okay, well, the native plant giveaway we've already quickly discussed in the spring. We feel we should stay with New Moon Nursery or a similar nursery to provide potted plants for us within the budget that we have for the coming year. I talked with Kathy about a month ago now, 3 weeks ago, about expanding our activities in recycling and waste management in Radnor Township. And one of those, again, would be publishing that article on Charles Noble's talk in the Radnor magazine, but also possibly a tour of the material recovery facility that Republic Services runs in King of Prussia. And here is where the recyclables are sorted and packaged and sent to companies that convert them back into useful material. So it would be a fascinating exercise. He did extend the invitation to the Board of Commissioners. Kathy, did you talk to them if they see if? Excuse me? Charles Noble.
This was actually in his talk. It wasn't a separate email, but I think we did have an email about it afterwards. You know, he had said
Right.
in his talk that, you know, they don't have space for like entire school groups to come, but they can accommodate, you know, 6 or 7 people. And they have had commissioners from other townships come and tour the facility. And so he you know, he offered that if we would be interested. I'm sure if the EAC members themselves wanted to take a tour, I bet he'd be open to that too. So if it's something that people are interested in, I think we just have to reach out and set up a date and time. I don't know.
Right.
I'll see some of them tonight and I'll tell them, send an email out to them that this is a possibility.
Okay.
Some dates. What,
Do you want me to send information to you again? Just the background, Charles? Okay.
are they talking about going in what is he talking about?
Is he talking about the spring, the winter, the summer? Did he say? He didn't say?
He didn't, so I think we could reach out and you know,
Yeah.
whatever works for you, I bet he could, you know.
Right.
I mean,
work.
I would like to do it. Is it crutch accessible? Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll ask him.
Yeah,
or if
you
someone
might
else
have to
does it.
wait till you're, yeah.
Right. All right. I'll send you that background just
Thank you.
to his talk, and so you know. And also, I'll send you the tips, the recycling tips that came out from that talk, just to kind of see what the finished product is when you go to the recovery facility from all our collections. The other thing about managing waste is to assist the township in implementing a community food waste composting program. If you recall, in August, the township wrote a letter to the Delco Office of Sustainability to participate in the USDA compost and food waste reduction program. So basically, the EAC would watch this space in contact with Melissa and see if the township was able to win a space in this program. As I understand it, would be a collection bin of food, possibly here at the township, that would then be processed every week and for making into compost. Okay.
I think this is sort of recollect that we talked about where that bin would be.
Oh, did it get to that level?
we?
That's encouraging.
No, did we? talk
No.
about where we thought I thought there was something where you had talked about where we thought it would go.
Well, whoever manages this property, I think, should have first dibs on that, because I assume the township area or property should be where the bin would be.
I was, in my recollection, thinking that you meant here at the township building somewhere it would be. Is that
Well,
right?
that,
Or that we talked about maybe at a park or something, was that right?
or it could be a park. It's in a sense, it's up to, I don't know, Parks and Rec or Public Works to recommend. They've probably had questions like this in the past, and they may have an idea what works best. You think about parking,
Yeah.
and
I'm thinking about losing a parking space in here, if that's where it would go. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah. I personally, I don't think it's our remit to strongly recommend a location. It's just to make a suggestion, which I'm saying the township building would be an obvious place, but if there is no room. For example, I've seen bins down in the lower parking lot here before, but maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway, we're certainly going to watch this space and check in with Melissa to see how this our request is received by the Delco Office of Sustainability. And resident notification process for land development. As you may recall, back in late August, a resident was raising concerns about tree clearing and subdivision work being planned for South Spring Mill Road. Their main concern was a lot of mature trees were clear cut, and there was concern how the development would affect stormwater runoff because there was already flooding in the area. So I contacted Steve Norsini and Kevin Kochansky to get an outline of how residents are notified of saldo or subdivision and land development plans. And he kindly sent a very detailed explanation of the notification process, and I asked that the EAC be able to have a Q&A system meeting with him, and he replied back this week with dates on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, or 25th. So that's starting tomorrow, or today, so starting tomorrow on the 21st. So unfortunately, we don't have many people here, but I did email the times to the EAC members, as well as you, Kathy, and I need feedback, I guess, whether the times for tomorrow or Friday or Monday would be open for you. I could set up a Zoom, and we can discuss this just after the meeting. This is really housekeeping stuff. I don't want to take up the recording with this. Now okay, we've already talked about maintenance of rain gardens and filling the EAC vacancy. I think we've talked about that Bess Yates will be meeting with the BOC in December. And Sven, I understand, Deathlefs has submitted his resume.
Yes.
And, okay. Do you know if he's going to be meeting with BOC?
I guess they're both on the,
on December?
for December 9th.
Okay, great. All right, well, that would energize our group. If you saw Bess's recommendations, she's very enthusiastic.
Her CV is very impressive.
Yes, and wants to strengthen a lot of the causes that we're pursuing right now. All right, I think that's it for me. Anything else from, okay. Thank you for your taking on your action items. And anything more, Laura? Public comment?
I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of a few things that have been going on. So last Saturday, the Shade Tree and Radnor tree tenders did their PHS fall bare root planting in Clemacrone, and we planted 50 trees with 51 volunteers, mostly softball girls. It was really cute. But there's still 36 trees left to be planted, and they were supposed to go to the residential right-of-ways, but we didn't have enough people signed up for them. So we have 36 left, and on Saturday at 9 a.m. At Ditmar Park is where they're going to be planting those remaining 36 trees. We can use more volunteers since we don't have any lined up. And if you want to do that, you can go onto radnortrees.com. And then let's see. Also, there's been some, the Shade Tree their ordinance has had some changes done to it, which is, I think it's been finalized. So that's a good thing. Also, we had the Local Roots Cultivating Environmental Stewardship in our community at the Villanova Center, and Dan, you were there. That was a 5-person panel on local environmental stewardships, and that was really, really well attended. There was 200 people, and it was a really good panel, good questions, very interesting. That was sponsored by Chanticleer, the Radnor Conservancy, and Villanova. You heard about the Wayne parking lot native planting already. You also know that we had our tree giveaway, meaning the Conservancy. We did 300 trees.
300.
And then, yeah.
Congratulations.
And then we also, Willistown Conservation Trust and the Inverary HOA has been working together with also the Conservancy in doing two projects. One is a lawn conversion, which has already happened, and then the second project was a Darby Creek watershed, which I think I might have mentioned to you earlier, planting 400 native trees and shrubs. And then the Radnor Bird Town, which is me, which is you guys as well. We had our annual summit meeting, and there's 71 townships that are EAC Radnor Bird Towns, which is really exciting. That's, and there are various kinds of grants, too, that we can get through Bird Town that come through there, which, you know, when we're looking for projects and money, we should be looking in there as well. One of them is the Penn Community Bank gives these mini grants for $500 to bird towns once a year, so usually 10 of them get done. And then also to understand how to maintain your either your private property or your municipal properties. There is the PA Game Division that has a 20-year-old program that actually has somebody who comes out and looks at your property and helps you figure out a maintenance plan. And that's been through Birdtown as well. Also, just Birdtown, keep on looking at the website. There's so much information on it. And that's all.
May I ask you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you would probably know, I don't know. Does a tree do as much as a rain garden? You know, absorb water and that sort of thing, or is it better, is it worse? Is it about the
Well,
same thing, or-
depending on the size of the tree.
Because you know, I'm thinking a tree could go with that entrance.
So a mature tree, I actually, I should know this. I gave a tree ID class the other day to Boy Scouts. I forget how many hundreds of gallons of that
It's a
it
lot.
absorbs.
Yeah.
But it's, the rain gardens are for it just kind of holds more at a time.
Yeah, it's capturing moving water,
Yeah.
whereas a tree
Has percolated water, is that what you're saying?
is percolated water that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking a tree might go in that entrance, and that would, that Clemacronin.
Well, I mean,
that's
yeah.
what I hear is planned at Clem-McCormick.
Oh, a tree instead of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably what they'll do. It's
Yeah.
easier.
But it won't do the same then, it won't be as
Well, not
efficacious as a.
right now, because it's probably going to be somewhere between a 2.5 caliber,
Yeah.
Right.
which is, you know, maybe a 3, which is what we're planting with the bare roots.
Okay.
And I assume the rain garden was put there because it's on a grade. There's a slope.
Yeah.
And the rain
They've
garden
always-
is designed to capture runoff
Yeah.
so it can be absorbed.
So, I mean, there's a backstory to these rain gardens, which Tammy knows best about, but, yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, you guys.
Thank you, Ian. Long meeting. All right, guys.